This is 5 ways to increase your visibility to attract more clients and make a bigger impact. And I'm your host, Alexandra Figueredo. So you're here if you want to grow your business, but you feel stuck. Or maybe you want to be seen or heard, but you're afraid to step into the spotlight. Or you know you deserve more visibility and exposure, but you don't know what to do next. Or maybe you're wondering, who am I to do that? That whole imposter syndrome like mindset. Or maybe you feel overwhelmed with so many things you can do. So you are in the right place because this is a jam-packed, a lot of information, and it's going to help you get some clarity in at least one of these areas by the end of today. So it wasn't always so easy for me to speak in front of groups of audiences. And I actually had a debilitating fear of public speaking growing up. I had a traumatic incident. I actually had 2 traumatic incidents when I was a child, but the one that I think really scarred me the most was when I was asked to do a speech in front of a group of teenagers. I was a teenager myself, and I was completely unprepared. And I had to step in front of an entire audience and of judgy teenagers, if you can remember how it was back in high school. And I was terrified, I was petrified, and I had no idea what to say. And even though I was a singer, dancer, performer, musical theater artist, I wasn't a speaker. I'd never really practiced that. So I stuttered through it and I was made fun of. And it really got me into a tailspin as an adult. And I spent the first half of my career doing my best to avoid being seen, doing my best, even though I was very ambitious. So I wanted, I was in the corporate world. I wanted to grow and I wanted to get, to go up the corporate ladder. But I just had this fear of speaking in public, a fear of leading, and a fear of basically anytime I had to sell myself. And it was so bad that when I finally resigned from the corporate world, which was about a decade ago, the next week I started hypnosis because I was like, I need to get over this debilitating fear. It's holding up my life. It's keeping me from launching and growing my business. And so it took me many, many, many years of doing a lot of different tools and techniques before I finally was able to get through this fear, this debilitating fear. Meanwhile, I had to figure out how to grow my business. That first year that I was out of the corporate world, I basically blew through my savings and had to figure out very quickly, again, with this fear of public speaking, how to manage, how to create and build and launch and grow my business while managing this fear, this debilitating fear. So it was definitely a very interesting time, but I made it through, right? I think it's I like to rephrase the quote, if you're going through shit, keep going, right? So I call the shit as an acronym for the shames, the hurts, the insecurities, and the traumas that hold us back. So if you're going through it, keep going. But definitely it could have been a lot easier if I had had the tools and the mentorship and the coaching to help me, to guide me through it. So since that very, very low point in my life, I worked so hard on making sure that I can get through, I can get press exposure. I've been on TV, I've been on New York Times, I've been in numerous podcasts and other shows. I was quoted in Business Insider, lots of media exposure, and also for my clients, because when I went on my own, I started my company about 10 years ago. And one of the things I did is I was a publicist for many large brands. And so I met a lot of celebrities, worked with large brands like Samsung Latin America and Harman Kardon Latin America, met plenty of celebrities, and just had an amazing time going and traveling around the world and around the country to launch different businesses and different services and different products. And I put myself out there to speak because I had this debilitating fear, but I knew I had to keep going and I knew I had to put myself forward as a speaker because I had a mission and I had to get my message out. And I wrote my book 10 years ago. This year is going on the 10th year anniversary of my book, Sculpt Your Life from Sketch to Masterpiece. Something I knew this was my part of my legacy was leaving this book. And the other part of my legacy is an organization that a cause called Abundance that really helps people to, especially women and girls, to empower them through expression and through the arts. What's on the agenda today? We're going to go through some visibility tactics that I just based on my own assessment, 20x's or more your exposure and attracts leads and clients. The top reason you're not getting the visibility you want and deserve. Also, a powerful audience amplifier technique to increase your reach. An invitation to an upcoming program. And my number one visibility strategy that gets me 80% of my clients. So I know some of you might need to leave, but if you can stay until the end, I'm going to try to do this within an hour. So if you can definitely stay until the end, you'll get that. It's my hottest, something that's worked for me consistently over the years. And then any Q&A at the end. All right, so let's just start. Let's get into it. So what is visibility? I did a quick look. I looked it up. Visibility is the state of being able to see or be seen, and it's the degree to which something has attracted general attention, prominence. And as entrepreneurs, it's so important for us to get out of our own way so that we can share our message and our mission with more people. And so now is your time to be seen. Now is your time to attract the attention. And if you were like me and were shunning that attention and shunning being seen for decades, now is that time. Because as we've seen over the last year, I might get emotional, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so if you have that big mission, if you've got something that you can share, something that you can help, something that you can serve, some way to support others, now is the time. And you can't do it if nobody knows you and if nobody sees you, right? So now is your time. So I'm going to go through some top visibility, I can't say that word for some reason, top visibility tactics that 20x your exposure and attract leads and clients. So the first is media exposure. I mentioned a bit ago that I was a publicist for many years. And for me, it's one of the best ways to get a large level of exposure. So why do we want that? It's instant credibility, it builds your authority, and it increases your exposure. So definitely something, and you of course can pay, like people paid me as a publicist, but it's free, right? Like you don't have to pay media to cover you. So the key to getting media exposure is it's got to be relevant. It has to be relevant. So some questions you can ask yourself for that relevancy, whether or not your product, your service, or you, because you can be a brand, you are a brand. Some questions you can ask yourself are, is it timely? Or does the audience care? And these are the questions that you can ask yourself, but these are the questions that the producers, the editors, the ones making the decisions in the media, that's what they're asking. So if you pitch the media, these are the questions they're going to want to know. You can have an amazing product or service, or you can be amazing, but if the audience of the publication doesn't really care, then they're not going to cover you, right? So these are really important questions to ask. And a big hot tip I can give you is to find different relevant angles. So an obvious news hook for an event that I hosted about 5 years ago. I was a publicist for that. It was a comic convention in Miami, and it was one of the largest in the country. So the obvious news hook was that it was a community event. And it got exposure, it got media exposure because it was a community event. So as a public event, a lot of different publications covered it. But I really wanted to get a lot more exposure for this amazing event. It had about 50,000 people that particular year. So I thought, okay, what else? What other angles could I find? So I was able to get some local TV coverage because there's a lot of visuals. If you've ever been to a comic convention, there's people in costume, it's called cosplay. There's just so much going on. It's a lot of fun. There's games, there's parades, there's costume contests, a lot of things going on. I got some media exposure from a business standpoint because of the founders and the economic impact that they had in the community. I also got coverage in sports because the convention actually had wrestling. I wasn't interested in that, but we got it. Entertainment because we had a lot of actors and we had tons of fun activities going on. Celebrities, so we attracted national news and we even got syndicated radio program to cover it, which reached millions of people. There was the children and parenting angle because of the cosplay, which is the costumes, and it's a family event. International Spanish language media covered it. We happened to be in Miami, so it was quite convenient, but they loved it. They loved coming in. They even interviewed me. Women's publications, cultural and film publications, because there was a film festival as part of the convention. And then, of course, the gaming and the geek publications. So from one obvious news hook, the community event, we got all of this additional coverage because I thought outside of the box. And I really thought, and there's more, by the way, there was many more angles. If I really brainstormed it, there could be way more angles we could take. So think about it for yourself. Is it timely, right? Whatever you're putting together, like look at a calendar of the year and apply whatever your business or service is to a particular time of month, and you can come up with angles that are timely. And also finding the media that are going to want to cover you because your audience, like who your clients are aligned with the audience of the media publication. So I was able to 50x my exposure or the exposure by finding all of these additional angles. So how do you make money? Because I really wanted to make sure we're going to talk about money in this. I usually don't do this. This is actually a new presentation, but I really wanted to make sure we implemented the money aspect. So you can look for, or the people that are reading, when you do get media exposure, they're going to look for more information on your website or your social media platforms. So once you're covered, it's a way for people to find out who you are so that they look you up, right? If you're covering an event or product, it could lead to sales. Like in the case of the event that I was a publicist for, of course, that led to sales. And this is kind of interesting. If somebody's on the fence about working with you and you're covered in the news, send them a clipping, right? Or add it to the bottom of your signature. I started writing on my social media handles, as seen on New York Times, Business Insider, CBS. I was in Natural Awakenings. I was in Career Builder. So I started adding all of that to my to different places where I'm seen, so that it adds to the credibility. Okay, so I think that was it. Yes, that was it for this. So I'm just going to take a breath. And while we take a couple of breaths, just want you to envision how media exposure can really grow your business, and maybe some ways that you can make money from media exposure, or maybe the media exposure you've already had. Alrighty, let's go to the next one. So the next visibility tactic is social media. And why do we need social media to get visibility? It builds your know, like, and trust factor. You can grow a tribe of raving fans, and it increases your organic and paid reach. So on social media, you can get organic reach, but you can also pay. It's an easy way to pay, and it's actually quite low cost right now, to relatively low cost, over traditional advertising, right? And so the reason that we get, uh, that it's great on press, that's free versus paying to get an advertisement in a TV show or in a magazine, that's really expensive. And so that's why we love having free press exposure. Well, on social media, it's actually pretty affordable comparatively to pay for reach. And so the key to increasing your exposure on social media is it's got to be quick, digestible content. And I love this section today because this is, I'm on the kind of like on the cusp of a lot of the trends because I am in a lot of different social media platforms and I'm in the know. And so I'm going to share a few trends that are happening now on social media. This is one of them. It's instead of having these long, drawn out posts and long videos, everything is shifting toward quick, digestible content. So we've got we've got the average attention span of 8 seconds, which is 1 second less than a goldfish. And it's been getting worse, right? So it was 12 seconds in 2000, and now it's 8 seconds. This is as of last year. So who knows? And this is really before Reels and TikTok have really taken off over the last year, which is those short form content, short form video rather. And so this is really why we want to make sure that we have quick, digestible content. And so a couple of questions you can ask yourself. What is trending and what captivates my audience? What's trending and what captivates my audience? Puppies! This is my dog, Javi. And, it's no coincidence that a lot of people love posting animals on their social media platforms because everybody loves, like not everybody, but most people love pets. Most people love animals. And so anytime, like people joke around about, you've gotten so low that you post a photo, you post a meme about dogs, a puppy meme. But you know what? It works. Right? So this might not be relevant to your particular brand, but I'm just giving it as an example. And so you can create quick, digestible content by putting entertainment or merging entertainment and education. And because I'm a big nerd, I like to call it edutainment. And that's not a word I made up, but I like to say it. And I have definitely been called a nerd for saying it. But it's just, that's the type of thing I love because I love to have fun, but I also love to teach and educate. So if there's a way that I can merge those two, then I have fun. The viewers, the audience has fun and they get educated, right? So if you think about ways that you can educate and entertain your audience at the same time. So short form video is increasing. So these are reels on Instagram and TikTok, short videos. And then long form video is decreasing. So the thing is then to keep it short. Carousels on Instagram are multiple posts, like multiple slides on a post that basically either tells a story or gives like steps or gives the information that instead of writing it out in a long post, which I'm guilty of doing sometimes, but I've moved over to doing carousels because people want to read it and they want to get it and they want to digest it quickly. Memes, as I mentioned, puppy memes or whatever is relevant for your audience, GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you want to say it, and infographics. And then whatever is trending, right? So you can be totally creative. And what I love about it is you can have fun with this. And that's, if you follow all these things, it's going to be viral. Not going to, but there's more likely that it's going to, more likely for it to be viral if you feed off of what is already trending. So these are some examples of one of my clients. She's doing great. I love her content. This right here, how to make your content more accessible, is a carousel. So she actually has like tips that on each slide, she gave a really short, digestible tip. This is an infographic that she created with some, quick, little bit of content and little images. It makes it easy to digest while teaching, while educating. And then this is another one where she did it, she just made something really short and sweet and makes it a lot easier to digest something than reading a long post. So, how do you make money on social media? Here, I'm going to give you a few examples. You can use sales functions on Facebook and IG. So, there's ways now for you to actually sell, like there's sales capabilities on those platforms. And I'm sure other platforms. I'm going to give you some overall ideas. You can get tips, as in like, gosh, I was going to say the word in Spanish, propina, which is like a little a token of appreciation. On Clubhouse, you can get tips. On you can do it on IG is expanding. Instagram is expanding to get tips now. There's hyperlinks that you can that hyperlinks on different social media platforms that will link to your products or services. You can move prospects over to direct messages. So that's a really hot sales strategy now, is to get someone who's on your social media platforms, who you're engaging with or who is engaging with your content, to direct message, and then you get them on a call or you offer them something. And you can become a paid content creator, such as TikTok actually pays its highest followed influencers. They actually pay them. And then you can even make money off of ads, like on YouTube. So just going to take a breath here because I know I've been talking fast. But just take a breath, a few breaths. And see if any ideas have come up for you on how you can either increase your exposure, start something new, right? It's not about doing all of the things. It's about starting one and trying one thing. I like to test something for 30 days and see what works. All right, let's go on to the next one. So the third visibility strategy is using or working with strategic partners. So a strategic partner, also known as JVs, but there's a lot of different words for it. But strategic partners, I'm just using that as kind of like a catch-all for anybody, any person, individual, few people, small groups of people that you can work with in partnership. And so it allows you to leverage the following of other people. You get endorsements and referrals and testimonials from them. So if they're sharing your stuff or they're referring their stuff, it's an endorsement, right? Like they're not just sharing whatever, right? They're sharing things of people that they care about, people that they trust. And so it's an endorsement. And it increases exposure to similar target audiences, which is great. So the key to strategic partners is just that. Align with your ideal audience. Make sure there's an alignment there. And so the questions you want to ask are, who has my target audience? So who of my friends, colleagues, industry experts, who has my same target audience? It could also be other centers of influence. So it doesn't have to be necessarily somebody who does the same thing as you. It could be somebody like, for example, I am a business coach, so I can work with attorneys. Attorneys could refer business to me. I can refer business to attorneys, right? And who would I cross promote? Who could I cross promote? So think about, and I wrote here, specifically wrote would, because you could cross promote a lot of people, but who would you? Who would you cross promote? Think about one or two people or more that it would be your pleasure to promote. As long as you were right? As long as there was a cross promotion, you know that they're going to promote you and you can promote them. Or maybe you'll just promote them just because you love their work, and maybe you'll get a referral fee from them. So it's important then to have that alignment. So some people that you can have, that you can work with, are JV partners, and that could be one person or it could be a group of JVs. I'm actually just started working with a group of JV partners, and we're testing out how it's working. We're all new in this JV partnership together. So we're starting to work together. We're testing things out and seeing what works. Rinse and repeat. You can be part of collaborative summits and events. So the summit that I just hosted was a collaborative summit. Everyone promoted the event. We all gave exposure to each other, right? We gave each other influence and exposure. Centers of influence, as I mentioned, this is a term, a geeky term or industry term that that we used in the banking industry. And it was just a way to find other industries or other people that you can partner with or that could refer business to you who don't directly compete. So as I mentioned, the attorney is somebody who wouldn't compete with me, but could promote or could refer business to me. And there could be other strategic partners that will promote you. So think about that. Who could promote you, right? So again, talking about this is ways to get more exposure. Like they might be promoting you by sending out an email to their list. So let's say you have, just to give round numbers, let's say you have 1,000-person list and you work and with promotional partners that collectively have 10,000 people on their lists. You've 10x'd your exposure right there, right? And so that's one way for you to get great exposure. And in this case, you really probably don't even need a large number of exposure, because assuming that they have similar target audiences to you, I mean, you can get referrals, leads, and clients just from a small number of people that are, referral partners. Okay, so how can you make money? One, you can get commissions or referral fees. You can sell tickets to collaborative events, like I did with the summit. I actually sold upgrades to that event. You can offer free gifts that turn into leads. So the speakers in my summit were giving a free gift that was a valuable gift on its own. But if somebody signed up for that gift or registered, put information in, then that's somebody now that is a lead for the speakers, right? And then they can actually do mail outs or promotion that just lead directly to sales. So you could have a partner that is promoting your service or your upcoming event, and that could lead directly to a sale. Or it could lead to, more often than not, it's a series of emails that really warm you up to the person, leading to some type of a free event like a webinar or something like that. And then once they're in that event or in that webinar, then they convert into a higher paying offer. Okay, so let's just take a breath here. Take a few breaths. See if there's anyone who you've kind of been dying to work with or you'd love to have as a strategic partner. Who would you love to reach out to? See if there's anything that comes up for you. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is networks and groups. So I love working with networks and groups because it allows you to leverage relationships. You can pool resources and collaborate with large numbers of people, and it increases your exposure to large audiences at once. So the key to effective networks and groups is having common values and goals. And so some questions you want to ask are, it can be one, but I'm just starting with 5. Let's go with 5 groups that share similar values and goals. to you. That's what I meant to say. 5 groups that share similar values and goals to you. And what are 5 groups that share like-minded members or clients to you, to your clients, to you or your clients? And I'll give some examples in a second. So there are some referral networks, and one really well-known example is BNI, which is Business Networking International. They actually refer business to each other. The sole reason for that organization is for small local groups, and sometimes they become international as well, but for groups of professionals that don't directly compete with each other, to give referrals to one another. Chamber of Commerce, professional associations, even maybe charitable organizations. Maybe you work on a fundraiser or a cause or a volunteer project, and you can meet potential clients or referrals there. Even movements, people who have a strong passion for a cause. And then special interest meetups, because this could be something outside of business. Maybe you love music and you like, but there's other business people within the music industry that you're in, and or music meetup, or a sport, but there's other people that could potentially be clients or referrals. And so how do you make money? So direct clients or referrals from members. So meaning some of the members of these groups could become clients directly, or certainly they'll give referrals. If you do networking, that can lead to leads. The groups, the organizations oftentimes promote the members' products and services. And you can build an email list to sell to later. So even just from networking or from membership opportunities or member connections and engagements, you can end up building a list, right? And so what I love about these types of organizations is that there's a camaraderie, there's a loyalty, and they actually want to see everybody succeed. And so there's definitely a goal of these groups to help each other succeed. So let's just take a moment. Let's just breathe. And think about any groups that share your common goals, your values. Any groups that have members or organizations that are similar to you or similar to your clients, that you could either join or attend their events. So before I move on, I'd love to know, out of the 4 things we've talked about so far, which do you think could make the biggest impact in your business right now? So increasing social media, increasing media exposure, networks and groups, or strategic partners? Yeah, so it's great to, you can test something. Again, I like to test things for 30 days at least. So when I want to test something new, or when I want to try something new, I dive into it for 30 days or more. But at least the 30 days gives me the taste and sees, like, is this something I would like to do? Is this something I want to invest my time in, or potentially some investment of actual money, right? Okay, so the top reason you're not getting the visibility you want and deserve. Any guesses what that could be? Da, da, da. You! Congratulations. I know from personal experience that I stood in the way of me getting the visibility that I wanted and deserved. So, yes. Yes, really. Exactly. So, a few ways, our mindset is so important. And if my own personal story and journey is any indication of how other people feel about speaking or about getting visibility, reaching more people, the summit that I hosted was called Mission to Millions. And that was aspirational for me last year. I really had to build up myself to be able to release a summit that was talking about potentially getting millions of exposure. But why was I so concerned about that? Because as a publicist, I've gotten easily millions in exposure and reach by using the media. So it's definitely possible. So a few ways that I use myself and I work with my clients to get out of our own way are meditation and breathing. So you can actually do meditation for a few minutes, 5 minutes, up till whatever you feel comfortable with. 15, 20 minutes seems to be a good amount every day, every morning, or whenever you'd like. Breathing, even just a few breaths, like at the end of the last points, I just had to kind of stop for a moment and breathe. I'm breathing now. Healing work. So the healing work that I do is energetic and intuitive healing work. And so we get to a lot of the areas that we have blockages, emotional and energetic blockages. So if I work through that, a lot of times I just release stuff and it just makes it so much easier to move forward. Visualization exercises, and we're going to do one in a moment, really helps us to see what we want. And if you can see it, if you can picture it, it's the mind doesn't know the difference between what it's visualizing and what's actually happening. So it's a great way to physiologically get ourselves in sync to that. Practice or rehearsal, right? So I know that this is probably not, this is more of a tactical thing, but when I was in high school and I didn't know what to say in front of a group of 1,000 teenagers, it's because I hadn't practiced or rehearsed. So if I would have at least done that, I would have had some feeling of some sense of security. Instead, it was improvised and I had no idea what to do. And the last is to make it fun. Find ways that you like to have fun and incorporate that into what you're doing. So I loved how I mentioned the education and entertainment for social media is trending right now. It's a great way to make it fun. I've seen attorneys do that, like talking about very serious matters. I've seen financial people do it, accountants do it. So certainly coaches can do it and other service providers can do it. If those really heavy topics, people are doing it in those topics, and anybody can do it. So stepping into the spotlight is not about you. It's about who and how you can serve those who are most in need of your message. So we're going to do this quick audience amplifier technique to increase your reach. And we're only going to do it for a few minutes because we're approaching almost at the hour. But what I'd like you to do is close your eyes and think about what amount of people that you'd be speaking in front of seems scary to you. Is it 20 people? Is it 50 people? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? So I want you to envision yourself, you're standing on stage you're actually in a stadium, in the middle of the stadium, and you're on a stage. And I want you to think about the number of people that scares you, whatever that number is. And you're about to speak. And you take a few breaths and you look around. And you look down to your feet. And you look back up. And you notice that the amount of people there has doubled. Whatever it was that was scary for you, now it's doubled. So you're starting to like notice what's happening. Are you panicking? Do you feel stuck? You're about to give a talk. What's coming up for you? So you're getting a little nervous, maybe, perhaps, anxiety about what people are gonna say. It's a big talk. Now you look down at your feet again. You take a breath. You look back up and you notice that it's doubled again. Except this time, everyone is cheering for you. There's signs. They're calling your name. They're excited to hear you. They're excited to see you. They can't wait to hear whatever. They don't even care what's coming out of your mouth. They're just excited to see you and hear you. And you take a few breaths as you look out into the audience, knowing that you can't really fail because they actually love you anyway. So there's nothing really you can say or do. They'll love you anyway. So I want you to just, if your eyes are open, close them if you can. And I want you to bask in that feeling of you rocking it on stage. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and write down or type in the chat what feelings came up for you, what emotions and what physiological things came up for you. Good, quote unquote, good and bad. So were you excited but nervous? Were you sweating or felt like you were sweating? Did you feel like you were stuttering? Did you have butterflies? I'd love to hear what came up for you. Satisfaction, grateful. I know for me at one point I got taken aback, like, whoa, even though I was the one doing leading the exercise. Gripped in my solar plexus, but excited and happy. Yeah. So this is great because you can work through, especially if you're healers or you can do meditation, you can work through some of those things. So yeah, a lot of us do get the feelings in our stomach and our solar plexus area. So one exercise, so I love having or suggesting, my prescription is for this exercise is to do it for a week. And so whatever you got to, whatever number you got to as far as your audience, try it again tomorrow with double of the audience. and then do it again the next day with double the audience and see what happens. At the very least, you'll get confronted with some of these feelings in the safety of your home, and it's something that you know you can work through. Alrighty. So I do have our last final tidbit of information, my number one strategy for how I get clients. I've been doing this consistently for years, and I will continue to do it. This is my number one visibility strategy that consistently gets me 70 to 80% of my clients. And this has been since I started working on my own about 10 years ago. Speaking opportunities. So speaking has gotten me, it's like, if you ever, who has heard of the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule? I would say that speaking is definitely my 80-20. I do 20% of the work for speaking, gets me 80% of the results, 80% of my income, most of my clients. So why speak? Why use speaking opportunities? So speaking expands your reach and your network. It builds your credibility and authority. It's like if you are a featured speaker, it's insta credibility, right? And it makes a bigger impact. So instead of speaking to one person one-to-one or a small group of people, when you're speaking larger audiences, you impact more people, right? Just like the visualization that we did, right? Like it's almost like you continue to amplify the larger the audience. And so it's definitely a way to 2x, 5x, 10x, 20x, 50x your impact. So the key to speaking opportunities is having a branded signature talk. So this is the first time I've done this presentation, but because I've been really passionate about visibility, I see that this is going to eventually, or maybe aspects of it is going to be part of my branded signature talk. The talk that I did for many years that got me countless clients was one called Turn Your Mission into an Irresistible Brand. Like every networking event, every organization that I was a part of had me speak. When I just shared that topic, I spoke at summits, I spoke at chambers of commerce, I spoke at other groups. I mean, I just spoke, I did that talk so much. It was a branded signature talk. And so what's great about having a branded signature talk is that it builds your brand, it builds your authority, it builds interest, especially if you have a catchy name or a catchy topic, or maybe a controversial topic, or something that grabs the attention. It's definitely something that can build interest. And it's easy to adapt to an audience. So for example, most of the audiences I worked with that I did that one particular signature talk were for entrepreneurs. But I could adapt it if I wanted to students that were maybe starting out that wanted to create a business, right? Because that's something we want to make sure that we're aligned with our purpose and mission. And so helping them to create a mission-driven business early on. I could have done it too if I wanted to for other groups, other industries. It didn't have to just be for entrepreneurs. So I could have adapted that. And then the other thing is you can adapt it to media. So that could become an article. You can adapt it. The topic could become a book. It could become interviews. And vice versa, like if you have a really great book title, the book title could become a signature talk. So it's a great way to continue to brand yourself while you're amplifying your message and reaching more people. So a couple questions you want to ask: who would benefit most from my message? And where can I make the biggest impact with my message? And some of the places you can talk are membership organizations, networking groups, nonprofits and schools, summits and seminars. Now we do things online, right? I haven't spoken in in person since January of 2020. I've done everything online since then. And then now the social audio apps, Clubhouse is one example of a place where you can speak and you can get clients from speaking on Clubhouse. So, how do you make money from speaking? Well, there's a speaker's fee. And if you're in the professional speaking circuit, it's usually starting at 2,500 and increments of 2,500 thereof. But of course, if you really want the money and somebody's offering you less than that or whatever, you know, you can always negotiate. You can sell or pitch from stage. There's also back of the room sales, which is that you have something, you have some table or somebody helping you to sell products or books or programs. There's a fee bundle with your book sale. So if you have a book or if you're thinking about writing a book, you can, some organizations will pay you in book sales. So they might buy 500 books and that gets bundled in either as to cover the fee of the talk or added to a fee for the talk. And that way their organization, the members of the organization, or if you're talking at a corporation, the employees get your books as well. So again, like talking about, that's like, if you can bundle it with your books, then you're talking about like so much more, 10x or more there, because a book at home, other people might read the book as well. So just definitely a way to amplify your mission and message as well. So what I did is I had enrollment conversations later. So a lot of times what I did is I offered a strategy session, or I offered some type of introductory session with me, and those converted to working with me one-to-one. And then you can also give a free gift as a lead generator, as the speakers did in my summit. They offered a free gift, and from that interaction, they didn't get paid to speak, but they got leads from the free gifts that they offered. So I just wanted to check real quick. There's a couple of chat messages. Great tip. Turns out I love to talk. Yes, Kristen, that's great. That's awesome. So as I promised, I'm offering everyone as a free gift a strategy session with me. And what we're going to do in this session is we're going to go through the 7 steps to build your brand. And what I'm offering is along with whether or not you decide to work with me after our strategy session, I will be offering you the 7 steps to launch your brand guide, which also has a value of $50. So whether or not you decide to work with me, you'll get that both of those free gifts. And you can definitely go to calendly.com/Alexandra Figueredo. And it's the one called the Standout and Shine session. And just so that you know, I do charge for these. So if you check out that Calendly, I do have some of the other sessions have a payment linked to it. And so the Standout and Shine session is the one that I'm giving to you for as a gift. I am not charging for it, so you don't have to pay for that session. And I look forward to talking to you more about what your vision is for your business, and also seeing and discovering what might be holding you back, what blocks might be sabotaging your success. And you'll definitely leave the session feeling inspired and invigorated and renewed to move forward in your business. So that's what I promise with the strategy session, that you'll get that clarity during the session. And again, I'm just so looking forward to speaking to each of you, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. So I just wanted to share a quick story from my client Lisa, who was a former partner and CEO at a multi-million-dollar law firm, and she came to me to help her to start a new business. Alexandra quickly helped me develop a comprehensive strategy. When we first met, I had a very vague, general idea in my mind of what I wanted to do and accomplish. But Alexandra quickly helped me zero in on not only what it was that I wanted to do, my mission, but she also helped me develop a comprehensive strategy on how I could go about actually building and achieving my mission. If you're starting your new business or just in the idea stage and trying to figure out exactly what it is, she truly exemplifies the best qualities that you can find in a guide and coach. Thank you so much, Lisa. All right. And now another story from my client, Evie's, who I mentioned earlier. She's the owner of the DEI boutique consultancy. She said that I recently started my diversity, equity, and inclusion boutique consultancy with the help of Alexandra's mentorship. I was passionate yet insecure about my ideas, and she helped me to build confidence and structure to follow through with my passion. She was the first mentor I approached who received me with nothing but constructive guidance and support. Thank you. And she said, when she first launched it, she told me, "My new project, thank you so much for the time you dedicated to helping me start. You were the first one I met with that made me feel validated in what I wanted to pursue." So I was so excited to help Evie's start and launch her business. And now I know she's gotten a couple of clients. And so, in a really short period of time, she's grown her income in her business and really starting to make a difference and a dent in the universe through her work. And we'll end with, your mission is more important than any fear you may have of sharing it with the world. So speak, get on stages, create your own events, get your media exposure, and work through the stuff that comes up that's standing in the way. So what are you waiting for? It's your time to step up and grow your dream brand now.